I'm delighted to be joined by newly appointed Red Bull Racing team principal and CEO, Laurent Mekies. Welcome to the podcast, coming on the Inside Track. It's kind of a birthday celebration this weekend, Max's 200th with the team, and a nicely timely announcement to him forking publicly that he's definitely staying put. Is that a celebration of sorts for the team?
You know, you still remember the first one, that's probably the first thing to say, you remember how incredible has been his first race for the team, whatever it was, 9 years ago or 10 years ago. And you still have in your head that incredible debut, but fast forward, the numbers are unbelievable. And we have all been witnessing these numbers as competitors. And then suddenly you get to know him a little bit better, at least since last race, and you discover everything that is behind what you see on track, and then suddenly you understand, okay, yes, that's how you get to such an unbelievable level. And what I mean by that is that we know the on track level and how unique that is, and then suddenly you discover Max off track, and you discover completely off the chart level of commitment, love for the sport, simplicity and direct approach to the good moments and the bad moments. And suddenly it's becoming very clear that the combination of the two makes it untouchable and unique. And I'm sure there is a lot of fast drivers out there. It's unbelievable combinations to have that raw talent combined with the absolute love and commitment for the sport, and with all the understanding that it has developed thanks to both aspects.
I get the sense that he's maybe surprised you even a little bit. Is that fair? Yeah,
it is fair. I mean, you can see it in my words. Yeah. Of course, I have been surprised. I actually, it's always easy to think that the drivers, you win 4 world titles. You get into a more difficult season, get in the second part of the season, with a fight that is difficult for the title, and then you see, you also hear the noise around, and you see how the level of focus is able to have in this sort of moment, the level of calmness and drive is going to bring to the team, the total absence of compromise in the approach he has and in the level of preparation he has before and after the race. And then, of course, I was surprised. It's fair to say.
It's early days, but is he already the best you've worked with? So we worked with some great drivers already.
It's never right to compare drivers, especially after one race.
Yeah.
But was I surprised despite the unbelievable results he have had already? So you would expect something extraordinary. Yes, I was surprised. It was well beyond what I was expecting.
So how is the relationship when it's someone that formidable, 4-time world champion you talk about? Is it less a team boss driver and more a collaboration, a partnership, or?
It's always a collaboration and a partnerships. But it's not only for the drivers. It's for the drivers. It's for the team members. It's a large company. It's a very large group, and it's about trying to make sure that everyone is expressing its talent at best, and miss that by 2% or 5%, multiplied by the number of people, and you are going to lose quite a lot of lap time on the table. So it's always about the relationship, and as we said in Max's case, is the feeling you have is that there is so much to download from him to drive the team well beyond what he is doing on track.
But how big a boost, it's early in your tenure as team boss, to know that you've got Max staying put? Obviously, he was talking about that today. Is that a massive boost for you and for the team to have his talents for another season and maybe beyond that as well?
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's a moment where there is a huge effort from everyone at the factory on several fronts, on trying to improve the 25 car, the 26 projects, the 26 powertrain. So the company is flat out. Our people have been pushing for months, trying to find the right compromise, and obviously we also had the shock news a couple of weeks ago, and having that sort of commitment again, and renewed commitment is of course something that is the right sign to get everyone to give even more tomorrow.
And what about of Yuki? There's been conjecture about his future, different stories. Positive turnaround for qualifying at the last race. What does he need to do in your mind to cement his place for next season? Keep a race seat here.
It's always about speed in Formula One. It is where it's nice sometimes to try to keep things simple. Max wants a fast car. Teams want fast drivers. So you want, Yuki's speed. We don't think it has disappeared. He has had a very unique pass with such a steep step forward last year, and at the beginning of this year. We know that talent, that speed did not disappear. So our job is to try to make sure that he is able to express that speed, and if he does, he will get the right results. If he does get the right results, then that's what we are looking for.
And what about for you? You're a few weeks into this role. Have you had a chance to stamp your identity on the team? I don't know what a Mekies Red Bull Racing team kind of looks like. Is it a big change?
No, it's not about stamping your identity, or at least it's not the way we look at it. The first couple of weeks is about meeting the people, understanding the people, eventually trying to see where are the strengths and the weakness, eventually trying to see how we can support them better, contribute, try to understand where are the limitations that would slow us down in building more competitive advantage. This more competitive advantage will turn into a faster car in the next years. So that's what we are trying to do. It's not stopping an identity.
You talk about the people. If we're looking to 2026, are you confident you'll hold on to the key personnel, your kind of core team, because that's what you need to build a team forward, future seasons and stuff?
Well, let me put it this way: we certainly want to put our people at the heart of the projects, and that's what we're trying to do, not only in these first few weeks, but also moving forward.
What about dusting off the crystal ball for 2026? There's a lot of conjecture. People talk about how Mercedes have got the fastest engine, Red Bull are a little bit behind, which would be understandable as a new engine and a new powertrains. Where do you see? I mean, is that true? Do you feel like you're behind? Where do you see you guys being on the grid next season?
I don't think any of these PU manufacturers are actually exchanging power figure. So it's a lot of crystal ball work, like you said. In fairness, we understand where the feeling comes from. Mercedes have dominated the previous change of PU regulations, so it is normal that globally we expect, or the audience out there expects them to be able to do that again, and that's probably where the feeling comes from. It is equally true that the challenge of doing a new power unit from scratch in what was a field a couple of years ago is unthinkable, but that's the Red Bull way. That's what Red Bull has embarked in to do, and therefore, it's very much a Red Bull type crazy challenge, So we feel good about it. We still completely appreciate that it's a crazy one to take. But that's exactly what our people are good at. So, as you said, I think nobody expected to be best of the pit lane straight away, because it would be, unreasonable to think that. But certainly the ramping up of our people is fairly impressive. So
it's funny you sound energized by taking over powertrains rather than daunted, because it seems like a massive undertaking.
But I tell you that as a Formula One fan, it is just such a crazy story.
Yeah.
That 20 years after having decided to do its own team, Red Bull says, well, you know what? Now we are going to do our own powertrain. It's such a crazy story. It's such a Red Bull only story. And you don't do it by buying something that exists. You go in by, we're doing it here in the field. Get the building down, get the dyno in, try to get 400 people or 500 people. Let's go. It's such a crazy story. It's so much of a Red Bull spirit there that the task is crazy. I'm sure the guys have lost, and we will lose a fair amount of nights on it. But of course we are embracing it, and of course it's something we are not underestimating.
You mentioned F1 fans. When does your fandom begin in Formula One? Were you a fan from an early age? Were you caught up in the bug?
Small kid.
Who was it you were watching?
It was in the 80s. It doesn't get us any younger, but it was in the 80s. It was the middle of the post-Senna battle, and these crazy times. So
you were always a Prost man then, being from that.
I cannot deny, but I think everyone recognized the out of this world talent of Ayrton also at the time, and I was lucky enough to then meet Alain. Obviously, I was didn't have the privilege to meet Ayrton, but yeah, you are raised with that. We say that one kid out of two is a car fan. So I was on the right side of them.
I don't know much about you away from the racetrack. So if I was to ask you, who is Laurent Mekies? What are your passions, hobbies away from the sport and running this team?
You may recall that there is 24 races.
So there's not much time for anything else.
And there have been a high number of races for a high number of years. So, I'm just a lucky boy, because fundamentally I only worked in the sport. And so after university and a couple of years in the junior formula, I ended up in this pit lane and stayed there ever since. So it's a privilege. You get paid for what your hobby is. On the flip side, it takes quite a lot of time. So to answer you more seriously, the best free time is with the family.
Yeah.
So anytime where we are not here in this pit lane or in the office is with the family.
What kind of age range are we with your kids? Are they?
They are 11, 5, and 2.
Oh, wow.
So they keep us more. So my wife, they keep us busy.
We'd say terrible twos in England, like that's when they have tensions. Are you going through that in your household, or is
it goes from love to a bit less love in between them, but it's mainly a lot of love.
Yeah. And have you got early Formula One fans among those kids, or are they not into what Dad does so much?
I tell you what, the two oldest are following. They are not the most complacent fans. They tell you the truth.
All right.
So, you come back, you try to make a good story out of the weekend you had, and they are going to give you the harsh reality of what it is. So
what was their assessment of Spa? Good and clever. Is a mix of.
It was a mix, but they start by looking at the less good. So they keep you with your feet.
So would you say that they're kind of like your harshest critics, but in a positive way?
They indeed are.
And finally, I just wanted to reflect perhaps on the last few weeks. Obviously, a bit of a whirlwind. How has it been for you? Have you managed to enjoy this crazy experience, or is that not how you would term it?
I don't think you get the enjoyable feeling yet, because of A, it came out of the blue. B, you very quickly realize that only full immersion can give you a chance for it to work from that point onwards. So it's been full immersion ever since. So no space for the enjoyable side, but I cannot deny you of course get the being honored, being privileged to be given that chance. That's the feeling you get. Does it transform into enjoyable? I'm sure it will. It will soon.
What did the little young you watching Alain Prost on TV suddenly make of you running one of the biggest Formula One teams there's ever been?
The biggest effect is when you actually meet him for the first time. So it was many years ago. But that's where you feel odd about it. That's where you say, oh, that's the driver that was passing. It's one of the, we have many, but it's one of the incredible privilege we have in this sport is that you get to meet extraordinary people, let them be drivers or team members or people making this sport work. And when people, I'm sure you have met many times as well, when people quit Formula One, whether they wanted to or whether they didn't want to, they I'm sure they get a lot of free time straight away compared to what they are used to, but they fundamentally they all miss two things. One is the competition, because whether we are engineers, managers, staff, journalists, we are competitive people. Like 99% of us are fundamentally competitive people, even before being fan of the sport. So they miss competition when they drop out of the sport. And the second one is that they miss the exceptional level of the people working around you in this sport, because of the competitive nature of the sport, and because what we do all day is to go and try to get the best person at every single detail that you need to do in and around the sport. We get used to that level, and we get used to meet extraordinary people, as Alain, for example, like you were referring to. And then suddenly you drop out of that and you say, where are the magic guys and girls? And that's a luck we have to be pushed by an environment that is operating at such a high level.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Laurent, for joining us, and thanks to everyone for watching. You can find out more Red Bull insights and interviews by the Inside Track podcast on YouTube. But it's been very insightful, and good luck for a fine weekend.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Laurent Mekies on those first slightly crazy few weeks as Red Bull Racing team principal and CEO. We'll of course continue to bring you all of the news from Red Bull Racing throughout the season. Just continue following us on Instagram, TikTok or YouTube to get our exclusive access. The Inside Track is funded and made by BBC Studios, a commercial company that's wholly owned by the BBC. It's produced by Jarek Zaba. Video editing and social media is by Georgina Revel. Paul Smith is the executive producer.